I believe that the world can be a better place, but I also believe for that to happen, it needs committed individuals who are willing to work for international development. And I would like to take my time with you to talk about my experience working in one international organization and how it has changed my life. Working in the United Nations Children's Fund is not a job. It's not a paycheck. It's a passion. It's moving and rotating and going to other countries, living outside your own culture and learning about how others see the world, how others understand the world. It's a way of life, of constant change, constant moving. And for me then, it is learning and then walking on shifting sands. And I would like to take the time to give you my perspective and where my bias comes from, because I work in an organization that has a proud tradition and noble history, and I'd like to share that with you. I like to share some of the personal experiences that I have had, both positive and negative, and how they have formed me, and some of the lessons that I have learned that I hope perhaps give you a perspective of how they can influence your life and change. From the very beginning of its past, UNICEF has always been about children. It's thought and put children at the center of human development. And when we talk about children, we mean all children everywhere. We were acknowledged in 1965 for the Nobel Peace Prize for the work that we had done during World War II. But since then, there's been the International Year of the Child. There's been a World Summit for Children. There has been a global movement for children to say when we are talking about issues, big issues, important issues, don't forget the children. Don't forget the adolescents. Don't forget the young people. We talk about child poverty now, but it's trying to keep always children of all ages on the public debate, in the public concern. And so we do this within the context of rights, child rights, women's rights, and you've heard people talking about the Millennium Development Goals, what we must achieve as a country, as a world by 2015. And I tell you that they cannot be achieved if we don't address children. The heart of the work, the heart of the future are young people, adolescents, and children. We have a proud tradition and hard work and lots of commitment. Over 60 years, UNICEF has been working on a variety of issues: child poverty, education, child survival, FGM, child soldiers, a myriad of issues and concerns and problems. But I tell you, I am only one person out of 10,000. 10,000. We are ordinary people having an opportunity to do extraordinary work. Extraordinary work. But what is that? What are we talking about really? What is the work? I am seized by work for the marginalized, the most vulnerable, the poorest of the poor in society, those who are voiceless and often not seen. It's providing fortified food and vitamin A to the young child who is severely malnourished to save a life. It is providing shelters and daycare centers for street children in Cairo to help them learn skills, to get health care, to find a way to get off the street, reintegrate back into their families, and reintegrate back into society. It is working with child trafficked victims, showing them that not all adults are bad. There is love, there is possibility, and providing shelters. It is working in Rwanda in 1994 and seeing a young child and his mother who happened to be the wrong ethnic group in the wrong place and at the wrong time, so they died. So working in UNICEF means we also deal with the horrors of what adults can do to children. Not always because they intend to do it, but oftentimes because we neglect, we didn't see, they weren't loud enough, and so they still get hurt. We see the horrors of what we do. So it's working oftentimes and in many countries in the eye of the storm. Looking at that part of us, that dark place that many countries and many societies have for their children, without realizing what they have done. They have marred and they have hurt and they have caused pain and suffering. But I've also had the opportunity of dancing in the rain, working with the joy and the happiness one has when you're working with youth media clubs here in Cairo, where young people and adolescents go out and document their lives and they talk to their friends and they report on what's happening to keep their friends aware of what's happening around them so that they can get involved. I worked with child parliaments in India where young children, 10 to 12 years, meet to discuss the issues and the problems in their panchayat, in their village, and come up with solutions and ways of getting that solved so they can go back to their adults and say, this is what we will do in our village and our community to make it a better place. I have worked with children in Upper Egypt and gone in community schools in the most remote areas of Solhad, Kena, and Sut, and talked with them around their world, what they see, what is possible, and had a young girl called Hannah say to me, when I grow up, I will be the president of Egypt. What joy. What delight. We're talking about a balancing act. There is the negative, and yes, we work hard to try to change the things that need changing. But there is also the beauty, there is strength, there are assets, and we use those strengths and reinforce them to address the problems. Everything is not a problem, and so we have to find the beauty as well. But we do that within a child rights framework that says, I always do my work from the point of view of the best interests of the child. Is this decision, is this program, is this activity in the best interests of a child? I do it from a point of view of non-discrimination. All children everywhere equally. I do my work trying to get the views of the child heard. What do young people say? What do adolescents say? What is their view and understanding of the situation? What solutions do they have? And I do my work from looking at it from participation. It's not adults alone. It's not an organization like mine alone. It's participation, everybody working together. We're talking about putting children, adolescents, and young people at the heart of development. So there's several lessons I'd like to share with you I've learned in this brief snapshot. And the first one is the power of dreaming big dreams. The power of dreaming big dreams. Unite for children. Education for all. End violence against children. Stop FGM. Make the world a better place for children. The best start in life. These are big dreams. These are big dreams. And working together, you and me, mothers and fathers, communities, the government, civil society, working together, we make big dreams realities for children. We can make big dreams realities for children. What is the second lesson? The importance of thinking outside the box. Thinking outside the box. We have volcanic ash, natural disasters, tsunamis, economic crises, financial meltdown. You name it, we have it. And in the global discussions and in the global debates, very often children and adolescents and young people get left out of the discussion. So we have to work together to say, what are other ways we bring them back? Because we are talking about the future. This is the here and now, the problems we have today, but tomorrow can be a better place, can be a better thing. So where does that help come from? It's talking to young people. It's talking to adolescents, saying, what do you see? What is your vision of the future? What do you see are the art of endless possibilities? And when we meet obstacles, 3 questions. What if? So what? And what's not there? If we can answer these 3 questions on anything we're trying to work on, we begin to think about creative solutions to problems and issues. The third lesson is that constant is change. Change is constant, and constance is change. We know that when you are trying to start something new or break away from something in the past, it takes courageous individuals who are willing to take risks, or a family that's willing to take a risk. We call them innovators and we call them early adopters. Those individuals, those people in a society who can see another way, who can see another way, another vision, and they step forward to try to do it. Or who see something that's not working well and say, we're going to stop doing that because we want something better for our children and for our lives. And so what does that really mean when you take that concept? Because change is always there. It's when a mother and a father in Sohag, in a rural village, say, we are not going to cut our daughter. And then they go talk to their family members. And they tell them and debate and convince them, yes, we should stop. And then their family members go talk to their neighbors. And they start talking together. And then they start talking in the whole village. Until one day, they say publicly, we in this village do not practice FGM. And we in this governorate, in Assam, we are FGM free. That's change. It can happen. It does happen. It is when a father and a mother take a young child in Nigeria to get polio drops, even though there are naysayers in the community saying all the horrible things that can happen. They take that child, they get that polio drop, they go talk to other members of their family, they go talk to other people in their community, and they take their children to get polio drops, and then Nigeria becomes like Egypt and eradicates polio. Change can happen. Change does happen. And in leaving my last point, I guess I would ask you to always remember and think about shifting sands, change, shifting sands, enjoy the walk, shifting sands, shifting sands. These are normal. It's when the earth stops moving, you should get worried. Thank you.
I thought for a moment إن لما كنا ساكتين وبنسمع إرما مانونكورت بتتكلم for a moment I thought إنه حصل برضو اللي حصل مع إبراهيم في moment of communication بين the audience and you. Children are always something that we all care about. So I'm going to ask you to throw some questions at Dr. Erma if you'd like. I'm going to repeat the question. Yeah.
Hi. So there's probably over 700 people here in the hall, and probably all from moderately privileged backgrounds who probably haven't experienced some of the horrors you're talking about. What would you say, what's the one thing everyone leaving this hall today can do to make a difference collectively and be inspired? As a group.
In leaving this hall, I would say it's when you walk out that door, you look for that child that's not like you, and you lend your hand. It's very simple.
A lot of people also ask me, how can they be volunteers for UNICEF? And I think it's worth to tell them how to do that.
Well, we always are looking for volunteers. There's more than enough work. We have a website, and you can go on the website and it tells you exactly how to do it. I think we believe very strongly that if you're talking about the future of Egypt or any other country, if you don't have young people involved, we're missing the boat. So, yes, go to the website, www.unicef.org/Egypt, and you see the information on how to do it. But if you're willing to go to Sohag and Kenna and go out to areas you've never been before in Egypt, we've got work for you.
One last question. Any more questions, please raise your hand. There's a question there. Please, go ahead. Until we get you the mic, I'm going to pose a question. A lot of people, since we work in UNICEF, we know the jargon, FGM, HIV, AIDS, of course, is easy. So for those who ask me, what is FGM? It's female genital mutilation. الختان الإناث اللي أنا من شوية كنت بتكلم عليه وهتكلم عليه برضه في السبيتش. الناس دي مش فاهمة لو بتكلم عليه
How does UNICEF work with UNAIDS on treatment and prevention issues when it comes to dealing with HIV/AIDS infected children?
We do a lot of work in several different areas. We work on pediatric AIDS, so that means we work with young children, making sure that they get the proper medication that they need for their treatment, and following them all the way through and working with their parents in terms of counseling. We work with mother and child transmission because that's one of the key areas that it happens, to make sure the mother gets the appropriate medication she needs so that she doesn't transfer it to the child. And here in Egypt, we work specifically with persons living with HIV/AIDS. And that is really making counseling services available, working with the government and NGOs to really help those families that are struggling. Because there's a big problem of stigma, as you know, here in the country, with people who are infected. But really trying to help them build their lives, continue their lives, get the proper treatment so that they can be healthy, contributing citizens to the country.